Stay asleep. Did we do it? Is it working? No, that was from before.
Now we are. Okay, we are live.
Hooray!
Thanks everyone for joining us. If you can, please go ahead and let us know if you can see us all right, hear us all right, and so on and so forth. I'm going to switch over to the other feed as soon as I make sure this is showing up.
I'm going to make hand puppets. That's what I'm going to do. I don't know how to make hand puppets, so I'll do... I can't. Oh, I can do a bird. Woo.
Hello, Internet. Tubes.
Okay.
Internet tubes.
Yeah. And people, I guess.
They are people,
so
it's not very good people.
Refers to it as the interwebber tubers. Because just that exasperate the thing.
Alright, so we are going to go ahead and start. My name is Nick. This is Robin over here to my right. And we have Ian over here to my left. And we're just going to answer some questions for you. I will be here for the duration for an hour. They're going to be here until they get tired of this. So, let's go ahead and we'll answer your questions in order. You can ask anything you want, board game related or not. I will probably go and grab a couple games and show you in a minute as well. Alright, so let's see where we start off with here.
And if you're entertaining, I won't fall asleep.
Hooray!
She'll still fall asleep. That's what she does.
For the week.
My question is, would you still consider doing a video about your favorite games that should be theme park rides? I remember your question from quite a while ago, actually. Yes! I think I would do that just as a lark. Make a really quick list without putting too much thought into it.
Pirates of the Caribbean, the board game, is clearly...
No. She's thinking about it in the opposite way.
Right.
So, yeah. Yeah, that'd be interesting. I'm afraid that most of them would just turn into, like, those 3D rides from Universal, which I think technically you can make anything a ride out of. But, like, making a good roller coaster that actually makes sense, that would be cool.
Universal had, like, the dopest rides back in the day. Like, the Back to the Future and the Star Wars ones, where you got into, like, the DeLorean or, like, the shuttlecraft thing, and you had to, like, fly around, and it got a... Like, you didn't move anywhere. Like, your ship just kind of, like, rocked around, and the screen just, like, oh, hey, this is... Whatever's going on with that. Those are the coolest ones. And you could do, like, that with kind of anything.
Spin-off. What board game would be the worst ever theme park ride?
Yes, there is another person here. It's not just a disembodied voice. She just doesn't want to be on camera. I'm
on camera now. Hi.
Yes, there you go. So, what would be the worst? I would say probably Pandemic, because you just get sick.
Everyone that
technically, if you go to like the ball pit of any theme park, that's Pandemic, because it's full of kids' cooties. Just crawling with germs. Kids are the filthiest, most disgusting. Oh, anyways, let's move on. I've seen World of Warcraft, the board game, on your shelf. Are you going to do a review for it? If played, what do you think of it? Well, I picked that up in a trade as part of like a whole crap ton of games I was picking up at the same time. I'm like, wow, I've heard a lot about this game. I've never actually tried it. And I still think it's interesting. I will still try it. I'll certainly review it at some point. I do know that it's a beast of a game. It's kind of outdated at this point. Other games have done what it does better. I've heard that the average playtime is about 6 to 7 hours. So I think if I was going to do that, I'd do Twilight Imperium finally and first. But eventually I will get to it. I know that my compatriot over here, Robin, is a huge World of Warcraft fan, or at least used to be.
For the Alliance!
There you go.
Really?
Really.
They're boring.
They have elves.
That's right.
So does
Doesn't the Horde have elves?
Not originally.
Do they have, what do they have, dark elves or something?
They have them now, though.
They have them now. I played since beta.
Golf clap?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm glad we resolved that.
We have resolved nothing. Why the hate for Tasty Minstrel Games? Other than Eminent Domain, they do some pretty good games. I don't hate them. There's very few publishers. I'm not sure there is a publisher that I hate, although if I had to pick one, it would be GameSloop, because I legitimately think they are abusing their customers and really doing some shady things. I mean, that's not even a joke. I just posted about it on my Facebook page not too long ago, earlier this week. So maybe that's the closest thing. I don't have any kind of hatred for Tasty Minstrel Games. My problem is I want publishers to excel at what they do and put out fantastic games. And there are companies like Flat Hat Games and Days of Wonder, which you may not like every one of their games, but they put out very few games per year. And Days of Wonder does one per year. But that game somebody thinks it's incredible because they put a lot of work and effort into it. Tasty Minstrel Games, I believe, has made Kickstarter their business model. That's fine. Cool Mini or Not does that, and they do it quite well. But Tasty Minstrel's games, in my opinion, have been universally mediocre. Every one of them I've played have been like, okay, that game functions. I will probably never play it again because it's just nothing to write home about. They also went on a kick for a while, which I think they've slowed down on, of doing micro games because they're easy to make and they're very simple and they look like people's prototypes. And again, they work, but they're just not that fun. That is my problem with Tasty Minstrel. In fact, I would argue that some of the only good games they've done are just rethemes and rehashes of other people's excellent work, like Cthulhu Realms, which is the Cthulhu version of Star Realms, which I believe, Robin, you've played, the Starship game. And I actually think that's a better version. So I'll give them props for that. And I said that in my review, but that's my beef. And again, it's not hatred. I don't have anything personal against them whatsoever. But I just expect more, especially for a company that has been very successful financially, at least. Any thoughts on that? I didn't think so. Some of these questions are very particularly going to be for me, but if you have questions for Ian and Robin, feel free. They are here.
You're very good at your job.
Thank
I'm just
you.
like, as a thing to notice.
Thank you, sir.
I've seen these before. I've seen your reviews and whatnot. Like, I'm one of the thousands of people that...
You're one of the Brawl heads?
That, I guess, sure, but...
I don't have a name for these people.
Yeah, I wanted to acknowledge you for being able to answer eloquently.
Thank you, sir.
On the fly.
I do my best. Which is funny. I actually think I do better in these Q&As than I do on my own reviews. My reviews, obviously, when it gets down to what you actually see on the video, it's fine. But I do take after take after take if I screw up.
Yeah,
if I screw something up, I was like, fuck. I do it all over again.
Yeah.
Even if it means like I spend an hour just to do one intro and outro.
And you're in your head.
Right. All right. Do you think it's silly when people threaten to move to Canada when someone they don't want to see gets elected? I think it's very silly because I think that for the most part, who is in charge, while it does matter, like it matters, like for instance, with the next president may get to appoint 3 people to the Supreme Court. That's a huge deal. But for the most part, your daily life is not going to change. What do you two think?
I'd love to move to Vancouver, just like generally.
Well, okay.
Vancouver's just like an awesome city. Like Canada's got it going on in a lot of ways.
This is true. There is one rabid fan, Adam, who is from Canada, and always rubs it in my face.
Go Leafs, eh?
Robin, what do you think?
I was born in Florida and have absolutely no tolerance to the cold.
That's
So
true.
I have a better chance of surviving even under Trump
Well,
than in Canada.
no, actually, my point on that is that none of us are going to survive if Trump was to become president, so there'll be nothing to worry about.
Ah, I see. Good point. Moving along.
He's not going to be president, by the way. That's fine. But actually, yes, and what Robin said is true. Do you know how when in zombie movies or in like the book of World War Z, where in order to escape the zombies, they ran up north because the zombies just froze and they couldn't chase them anymore? That's what you would have to do to escape from Robin. Go somewhere cold, and she would lock up, and you wouldn't have to worry about it anymore.
Pretty much accurate.
All right. Thoughts on Apples to Apples making the Dice Tower People's Choice this year? Well, first and foremost, and I always caution people with this, the Dice Towers, and I've watched everything that's been released for the Dice Towers People's Choice Top 100, and just to explain it to these two, every year the Dice Tower does Top 100 videos. Tom does his, Tom Vassell. He'll have his top 100 games of all time, quote unquote, but he does it every year, so it doesn't make a lot of sense. But that's fine. That's fine. That's kind of the joke, right? And he'll have other people on his channel do that as well. And then he'll do the People's Choice, which is where he'll actually have people go to his website and they vote. They vote for their, I believe, top, it's either 10 or 25 games. And then they get ranked on points. So if you rank a game number 1, it gets way more points than one of the other games, right? And then he'll tabulate all those points and then spit out the People's Choice Top 100. And so it's a pretty good system. The flaw of the system, if it's a flaw, it's not a flaw, it's just a thing, is that it's only Dice Tower audience. I mean, people might migrate over because they heard about it, but for the most part, the vast majority of people that vote on it are the Dice Tower audience. So they're going to be influenced by what the hosts are. Like, there are games that made it onto the list so far, not to give any spoilers, like Jamaica. And I'm sure Mission Red Planet will be showing up soon because those are constantly talked about. Or Pillars of the Earth, which is a game that is out of print It may not ever be in print because it's based off of a book that they probably can't get the license to, but it still made it very far into the top 100 because it is constantly being talked about. I think Apples to Apples is another example of that to a degree, or more appropriately, there's a lot of people that probably would have voted for Cards Against Humanity, but won't because Apples to Apples is the family-friendly, quote, Dice Tower version of Cards Against Humanity. That would be my opinion. Cards Against Humanity did make it onto that list at like number 99 a couple of years ago, and Tom and Z, who were hosting the list that year, were none too happy. I thought that was amusing.
They were not happy that Cards Against Humanity...
Right. They are a very family-friendly network. In fact, Tom was a youth pastor, or maybe he still is in his free time, and as is another member of the network, Sam. Let's be nice. They are my compatriots.
I didn't say anything.
But yeah, but
I was going to, but I didn't.
But that is the reason. Ian would be the exact opposite of those terms I just used.
Family friendly?
Yes.
I don't know.
A pastor.
Oh, right. Well, yeah.
That's true. Best new filler game you've played lately? That's a great question. I've played quite a few.
I don't know. I like the Builders. It's not really a filler game.
Well, I have the new version sitting over there. This
really?
Ancient Egypt.
But yeah, it's minimal. It doesn't really take a whole lot of space. Doesn't really take up a whole lot of time. I don't. It's like it's on the longer end of filler game, but it could be in that category.
Sure. I'd agree with that. I would say in this, I'm kind of sad that this is one of the, because no one even knows what the game is and no one has heard about it before, so it's getting very few views on the channel. But I reviewed a game called Monster My Neighbor early this week, and I think that's a really good filler game. It's you played that?
Yeah.
Very, very light. But because it is a light filler game and because it has a hidden role aspect to it, I enjoyed it quite a bit. What would be your favorite filler, Robin?
I'm still trying to come up with a joke. A dead baby joke about a youth pastor.
Okay, that's a very long title. That's a very long title for a game, and I'm not sure that I've played that one. But
all right, Ian, you have to help me. You have to finish it.
Okay.
Because I can't finish it. I'm too tired. Ready? What's the difference between a youth pastor and a dead baby? You gotta come up with a punchline for it.
I have to come up with a punchline for it? Okay, so I'm gonna think about that, and we'll let Nick get back to his thing.
We'll come back to it.
This is a continuation of the previous channel, so the previous video. So
right. All right. Let's see. Have you seen the new Kickstarter Folklore the Affliction co-op game from one of the designers of Descent 2.0 and his brother? What do you think of it?
Oh wait, filler games. Dixit. That's all I have to say about that.
That's a party game. It's a little bit too long to be a filler.
You can use
Filler
it.
game would be
That's
like
what she
Love
said.
Letter or like Uno or something very light and fast.
Guillotine.
There you go. That's a great choice. Well, I like it. It's a fun game. It's one of the very first like modern games that I played. Okay, so thoughts on Folklore the Affliction? I think it looks very interesting. I think that the miniatures look great. It's for you two. It's a Descent style game, something similar to what we just played. But it's based not in general fantasy, but specifically in like vampires, like gothic fantasy, vampires, werewolves, specifically those type of like horror creatures, Frankenstein's monsters, things like that. I think it looks interesting. The artwork, the miniatures, the fact that it does have this pedigree of designers based off of a great game, Descent 2.0. I have some trepidation about it because it is from Greenbrier Games, and I'm not a huge fan of the other games that they've put out, especially Z-Pocalypse. They have a tendency to make really bloated, really long games that don't actually have solid mechanisms to back that up. But, again, based on the fact that it's from designers not normally associated with Greenbrier, I'm certainly willing to give it a shot in the future, but I'm not going to back it with my own money, that's for sure. What happened between you and Rado? What's the beef? There's not a beef. I mean, the beef is just whatever. We don't talk or interact or anything like that, and that's perfectly fine with me. I had a serious issue with some of the things that he said to Tom in the comments thread of one of Tom's videos. I felt very defensive about that. I don't like it when people bag on Tom for being excellent at his job and taking him to task for things, and I consider him a friend, and I consider him a mentor to me. So when I felt like Rado was essentially just at the least being very rude and stepping where he shouldn't have been stepping, I definitely shot my mouth off. And that led to a ton of people lining up on one side or the other in that comment thread, and it just going out of control. And I bailed on it very early. I don't know what was said after I left, but I know that from then on, he and I have not interacted. Other people that are in the industry have stopped talking to me because of that, because they felt it was me being too confrontational. But I've moved on. My channel has grown. I have lots of other friends in the industry. Doesn't seem to be a problem for me.
And more importantly, you've grown.
That's true. We've all learned something today, haven't we?
All right. What's the difference between a youth pastor and dead babies?
Oh, please don't. Go ahead.
I don't know, Robin. What is the difference between a youth pastor and dead babies?
Dead babies are much less traumatizing to little boys.
I was going to go somewhere like that. That's where I was.
The views and opinions expressed by my co-hosts.
Something about fitting more in a church.
Have you ever banned anyone from your channel? If so, what did they do to earn that honor?
Well, honor is kind of an interesting way to describe
well,
that.
I've banned a couple people in who have actually been commenting on the live Q&As, not because they said it. First and foremost,
watch yourself, person to ask that question.
If you say something to like insult me or to just question me or take me to task or disagree with me, I'm actually more likely to leave you on the channel because I don't care. You can say whatever you want. But the people that I banned from the live Q&As were like spouting a much like racist and Nazi stuff. Like there's always people like that trolling around on YouTube because YouTube is the Wild West of comments. So those are the people I've banned from comment threads like this. As far as like the channel in general, I can only think of one person that I took great joy in banning after he really just aggravated me for a long time and I put up with it. A guy named Joseph Lynn, that is his screen name. I'm not giving away his real name. I mean, that might be his real name, but that's what he uses for his screen name. You will see him constantly commenting on Dice Tower threads as well. First off, the guy never had a nice thing to say. Not necessarily about me, but it seemed like every comment he's ever made on YouTube for anyone's video has always been like, this game looks like shit, or I can't believe they did something so stupid. So eventually you just get tired of looking at that, but okay, whatever. So then he started taking me to task for how many paid preview videos I have on my channel. Now, you may not like them. That's fine. You don't have to watch them. They do support the channel. I need to do them. That's the beginning and end of it. But what I try to do, because I know that people don't like them, is that when I do paid preview videos, I make sure that there is other genuine content going up at the same time. Reviews, top 10 lists, live Q&As, whatever it might be, to the point where I really work extra hard to get other content done to the point of losing sleep because I know that I want to equal out that content. So when Joseph Lynn started making a lot of comments like, you're really turning into some other broadcaster who is known for this, and I don't think I could keep watching like this. Like a lot of like really grand statements, paragraphs of text about why I'm screwing up my own channel. Initially, I responded very politely and said, yada, 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 here's why I need to do this. I'm sorry. He never responds because he never responds to any of his comments. Finally, he did it again, and I just sent him a really vicious message and banned him because I was just done with it. That is the one example I can think of where I lost my temper and just banned someone for probably selfish reasons. But
why do you feel like the content that someone else like asks you to do, like a paid preview, why is that less valuable than the other content that you put? Why do you feel it's less valuable?
First off, I would never want. So I wouldn't watch someone else's paid previews.
Right.
I will say that because that's not what I'm looking for personally. Mm-hmm. But now I know that there's a lot of people in my audience who do like that stuff because they want to. 99% of the paid previews I do are for Kickstarter projects,
right? And
people want to know what's going on with those. And even if they know that I'm not giving my legitimate review and opinion of it,
right?
That it's still valuable to them.
So my question is, wait. So you make a firm declaration at the beginning. This is a paid preview.
Yes, I do.
You like lay out everything that's in there in terms of like what's the content right now. You say that it's, if it's in a beta position right now, they say this may change, or like I got this version of it and there's another version somewhere else later on. You're very upfront. So why is that any less valuable because you're getting paid to do it then? Like everyone watches you because you do your very best to like be straight and honest and
Well, because while what I might be saying in the paid preview is honest, it's not my true and genuine feelings about that game.
Right, it's subject to bias.
People, well, everything is biased.
Well,
but everyone wants to hear me say, "Oh, this game is garbage," or "This game is amazing," one way or the other, however you want to parse that out. And so with the paid preview, it's just very neutral. People know right up front that. But again, that is super valuable to some people and not to others.
What I'm saying.
But I just know, based off my personal preferences of what people were doing on other channels, and based off of what I have read from comments of people, is that it is not valuable to a larger proportion. Now, of that larger proportion, most of them can just say, well, it's not for me, I'm not going to watch it. Some people get bothered by it.
Right.
But I do know that I don't want it to become infomercial station.
Right. And I don't think that it ever will be, but also it is a preview.
Yeah.
Before other people have an opportunity to see it, you know, you have the... And I'm not just being like a fanboy or whatever. Like, this... Nick's my friend. And, like, you are honestly wrestling with, like, am I a corporate shill? No, you're fucking not. You are not a corporate shill. Like, just because you're getting paid to do... You're getting paid because of your expertise.
Now, part of what... And referencing a previous question, someone asked me what was my beef with the broadcaster Rado. And it was what I said, but when I was attacking him back, I pointed out that, you know, I pointed out that he actually does full reviews and walkthroughs for these games that are in prototype form for Kickstarter, and I thought that was wrong. Because he was giving his final thoughts on a game that was not finished, incomplete, could have drastic changes by the time it comes to market. And so I didn't like that. And so I took him to task for that, and then he fought back. So that was part of the thing. And so I think, but people have called back to me and said, well, but you're getting paid to do these videos. Do you think that's ethical? And I say, well, yeah, because I'm saying up front, this is a commercial, essentially. So I don't want to belabor the point. But yeah, I mean... I
want to defend you to you and let you know that I think it's okay.
I am my own worst critic.
Yeah, good.
Although Vassal said, he has this great line, he probably stole from someone else, but he said, if you think you're your own worst critic, you must not have the internet.
And just the last thing, that viewing the paid previews support your channel in general, because they allow you to keep doing what you want to do.
And I will say that people always ask me, why don't you run a Kickstarter to help fund the channel? Because, I mean, many YouTube reviewers who have like way less subscribers and total views than me run Kickstarter campaigns and make like $2,000 or $3,000 to help get them to Gen Con or Essen or whatever it might be. But those, they also don't do paid previews. I do paid previews, and I do these paid previews, and I also ask for some money on Patreon, and I don't want to nickel and dime you guys for every single thing. I also run ads during all the videos. So I do feel like there is a point of saturation of advertising where I'm comfortable at that I don't want to step beyond, and that's why I've never asked you to like, hey, you know all that money you've been giving to me and all the support you've been giving me by watching? I need just a little bit more in order to get that Learjet I've wanted. So I'm not gonna, just like Billy Graham. But okay, that's fine.
Who got 2, by the way.
That's right. All right, we're way behind on questions, but that's totally fine. Where were we? Yes. Okay, so did you back Zombicide Black Plague? What items did you back? How excited are you for this? Thanks, love the show. I did not. However, this is going to be a shock to many people. I traded away every single bit of my Zombicide stuff for someone who had extra pledges of Black Plague and their other game, Besieged. Because I knew that I was going to... I like Zombicide, I like it a lot, but Zombicide Black Plague is way more in my wheelhouse. It's medieval fantasy, it's necromancers, it's warriors and elves and dark elves and all these different things.
Go elves!
Rather than like Dawn of the Dead zombies, which is like, you know, takes place in modern day Maul, Rick from The Walking Dead, that kind of stuff. So I said, well, rather than spend all this money to get another set of Zombicide that can't be incorporated back into the main game, I traded away all of my Zombicide stuff. And I think it's going to work out better for me.
So I have a question, different... Frankenstein's monster is a zombie, right? That's just like by definition. It's not a plague-spreading zombie, but a zombie.
But, well, no, because, an integral part of a zombie is that they're mindless, though, right? I think Frankenstein had a mind. He could think.
Yes. But I mean, like, The Walking Dead, The Risen.
You know what? Stephen Colbert had on his new show, occasionally he will do this thing where he gets up on the top level.
Oh, the hat is
with the
spoken.
hat.
Yeah.
And he did the thing where from now on, whenever someone corrects you and says it's Frankenstein's monster, not Frankenstein, they must be chased with pitchforks and run out of town. I love that. I do love the Stephen Colbert's new show. I never watched the old Stephen Colbert, or I watched clips, but I love that new show.
Hey, you know what's going to be on Stephen Colbert on October the 13th?
Is it the Zelda thing?
It's the Zelda thing.
Yeah.
Well,
what's the Zelda thing?
They're going to have an orchestra performing songs from Legend of Zelda.
Yeah, dude.
He loves to have esoteric guests. That's what I love about it.
Is a fantastic nerd.
Elijah Wood and Sarah Silverman.
Yeah, he'll have politicians on. He's had like a lot of the Republican presidential nominees. He had a video game developer for some game I never heard of, but then it was like really cool to watch him show it off on the show. So I love that guy. He does really good work.
And he had the Tesla guy, and he asked him if he was a supervillain.
That's right.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Okay, we're so behind. How does the late pledge work with Kickstarter games? That is different for everyone. For instance, what Cool Mini or Not lets people do is you can pledge $1 for their campaign, and then that will get you into the pledge manager at a later date. And so if you don't want to pay all your money up front, it's like layaway. I call it Kickstarter layaway. The other companies will just say, oh, you missed a campaign, click on this button, you can pre-order the game essentially. It's the same thing. It's just different for everyone. Thoughts on the new Arrow and Flash season premiere? You really hit a sore spot here. I've been so busy this week I haven't watched them, and I'm very sad. But I will get to them this weekend most likely. Yes, I've heard good things, though, in general.
South Park is the best.
I
haven't watched South Park in maybe 10, 11 years.
Oh, this season is fantastic.
I don't know.
Really?
Really, this season?
No, I didn't mean it like that.
I'm kind of out of
South Park.
Right now. The only American comedy cartoon I'm into is Rick and Morty, and that just ended for its second season, which is amazing.
It's fantastic.
Rick and Morty is so good.
But honestly, this season of South Park is tremendous. It's tremendous.
Okay, what is Z Garcia's real first name? I believe, I don't think I'm speaking out of school here. I think it's Zunier. Okay. Zunier, I think.
It was way out.
I think he said that on video. I don't think I'm speaking out of school there. Nick, when you are playing a game to review, do you generally play alone or with a group? If it's with a group, how do you get people together often enough to get enough plays in for a review? 99% of the time, it's with a group. There are some games that I play solo, either because they are cooperative and it just works better for my schedule, or because I've already had my group play a game cooperatively, and I'm like, okay, now I want to explore a couple of other things here without having to force my group to play this again because maybe some people didn't like it. So I'll just do it on my own. And some games are just solo games. But how do I get the group together often enough to get people to play a review? Well, my group meets specifically 2 times a week. But I will call together sessions of just like, hey, I need to get this game played again. Do you guys want to get together? Like tonight, we played Kingdom Death, and that's happened to be a live feed thing. But that's one way that I do it. But we have 2 general game nights that go on for hours and hours and hours, so it's not too tough to get one game played multiple times. You know, it varies, and that has been one of the arcing problems I've had lately is that I still need more time. I think actually this week and last week I'm actually backed up on. I have a ton of games I need to review and not enough time to produce the videos. But for the most part in this past year, it's been I don't have enough time to do enough time to play the amount of games that I have. Things rise to the top of the queue, like Kingdom Death, Pandemic Legacy, Time Stories that are going to have to be reviewed first, and other things just keep getting pushed further and further back. Like even Rum and Bones, I haven't been able to get to. So it's tough. I mean, it's a definite first world problem to have this many games, but there it is.
It's also a balance between, like, sometimes at a gaming meetup, you just want to play the games you know and love, and sometimes you want to play the one that you've played once and are still developing a strategy for.
Yeah, it is, and it's another first world problem for me too, because sometimes I'm just like, man, I really want to play a game, like a specific game, like that I've played before, I've reviewed before. There's no practical benefit to me doing it right now, but I love this game and I really want to play it, and there's new people here and I want to introduce it to them. Like I really want to bust out Shadows Over Camelot. You're gonna love it, but I have all these games to review over here, so it's tough. And a lot of times, especially when people are coming to the group and they're new or it's people who are regulars who have been coming to the group with the same bag of games for like week after week after week. I'm like, let's play your game, because that's just not. It is my group, but I don't feel that it's fair to constantly monopolize the time. You know, a lot of people love the fact that I'm constantly getting new games in, but some people want to play the old favorites, and I totally understand and respect that. And then tell them to screw off. No. What are the chances of you going on the Dice Tower cruise if it happens? That seems less likely than the invite I got to Dice Tower Con, only because, and it's no fault of Tom's, it's a cruise. There's limited capacity. I know he's going to book that thing solid, and it is very expensive per person. If he asked me to go, and I would not be able to afford to go just because I would want to go, but if he asked me to go and he comped the ticket, I would go, because I think it'd be very interesting. I've actually never been on a cruise before. I've been on boats, just not on a cruise. Robin loves cruises, right? Am I thinking of someone else?
I've been on a couple.
Yeah, you think they're awesome. I remember you saying very succinctly,
Yeah.
cruises are the best thing ever. But
They're all right.
for food, for sure, right? Everyone I've ever heard review a cruise says, "Oh, the food was amazing." So, foreign countries and
free.
foreign countries and
Because
food.
we paid for it.
Yeah, you up front, yeah.
Yeah, foreign countries and cruises have one thing in common. Everyone always says they have amazing food.
Well, they talk about that.
I was in Germany, the food was amazing.
The fucking German food is amazing.
Well, everyone's saying that this week because Essen is this week. So, the Essen Spiel Fair. So there's tons of pictures on Twitter of people's food.
Essen means food.
Essen means... Is it?
Yeah, it means food and to eat.
Interesting.
Yeah. What's happening there at Essen? Like, what are you going to eat today? What are you having? Like...
What are you dressing up as for Halloween?
Let me
Nick is going to dress up like this.
Daenerys Targaryen.
After the fire, if you know what we're talking about. Yeah.
I actually tried to talk... We're having our grand opening at our new location on October 28th. I tried to talk my boss into making a Halloween party since it's so close to Halloween. He was not for that idea.
What would you dress up as?
Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers at the most famous...
you mean wearing the sock?
Just wearing the sock,
Just wearing the sock? No, I would not dress up. I don't dress up. I'm no fun.
You were a monk once.
I was a monk once, which is probably the only outfit I could pull off. A big robe.
Next.
Are there any games that came out over the... Oh, wait a minute. I missed one. I missed a couple, actually.
You're terrible.
How's it going? What do you think of Core Worlds? I like it. It's up on my shelf. I need to play it again. I kind of got it, finally. People were constantly asking me, Nick, how could you review all these deck builders and not have reviewed Core Worlds? And I finally got it in the expansion, which people say is necessary, and played it. I enjoyed it. It is probably the heaviest deck building game I've played, if you don't count games that only have deck building as a smaller part of it, like City of Iron or Mage Knight. So it hasn't hit the table again, and it really needs to in order for me to fully grasp it. But it's very interesting. It's like this galactic building, planet conquering deck building game. It feels less like a deck building game and more like a full on, no, not 4X game, but something similar along those lines. It's very long. Have you had chance to follow the People's Choice over on the Dice Tower? Any surprises for you? I have been following it. I just watched it again. I've been watching it during my lunch breaks at work. Surprises? Not terribly so. What happened?
Oh, she's probably in the bedroom then. It's okay. It's okay. I was locating
Honeybee.
Okay.
a dog.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay. What surprises
There
were
she
there?
is.
I don't know. I haven't been totally surprised by everything. I think that when new games pop up on the list, I'm like, well, I've been reading the trends over the past year, so that makes sense to me. Like, I don't know this for sure, but the top 20 is coming up probably tomorrow. My guess would be that Dead of Winter is possibly even in the top 10. I wouldn't be surprised. Because I can see how popular games are, and people are voting on instinct what first pops into their mind, so... It's made, and again, when I see games like Pillars of the Earth, I'm like, oh, Dice Tower influence. Got it.
That's a good game, Pillars of the Earth.
Have you played it?
I think so.
Okay.
That's the one I'm thinking of.
It's worker placement. It's got cool wooden bits, and it's based off the book by Ken Follett.
Okay, then no. I'm thinking of a different game.
Okay.
Although I do like worker placement. Lords of Waterdeep, favorite game.
Are there
right
any?
now.
Really?
Right, yeah.
Okay. Have you played with the expansion?
Yeah, that's the only one.
Oh, yeah. Are there any games that came out over the past year that you think people will still be talking about 10 years from now? Oh, sure. I do think that Codenames probably has some legs. I think that
10 years is a long time, though.
10 years is a long time, but I think that is a game that, out of the box, and by the way, I don't think Codenames is the greatest thing ever. A lot of people really love that game. I just like it quite a bit. Mm-hmm. But I do think that a game like that has longevity because right out of the box, it is variable and you don't need an expansion for it.
Right.
I think that Spectre Ops has some legs. Dead of Winter, I would say yes, except that they've already determined that it's going to be an iterative game. So they're kind of hedging their bets there. I do wonder about Eldritch Horror. I'm just looking in the mirror at games behind me on my shelf and thinking about it. I wonder about Eldritch Horror because it has firmly replaced Arkham Horror, and I don't think that you need another type of game like that. And that one I can see having the legs to just be a perennial, evergreen Cthulhu game. So, we'll see. Will you ever update your top 10 co-op games? Yes, I will. I think I was actually holding off on that because I wanted to play Kingdom Death, and there's a couple other co-op games that's like the Big Book of Madness coming out soon that I want to try. A lot of top 10 lists and my top 100 lists are all on hold until after Essen Games starts settling in here because I want to make sure to try those first. But yeah, I will redo the top 10 co-op just like I redid my top 10 deck building, which has been doing quite well. If shipping costs were halved, do you think it would change the amount of people who play or just increase collection sizes? Well, yeah, absolutely. I've been very fortunate, even aside from the fact that I've been fortunate to get review copies of games. Before any of that was happening, and up till this day, I live very close to a coolstuff.com or Cool Stuff Inc. physical location, and therefore I can order a bunch of games and have them sent to the store and just wait until enough of them are there to justify me driving the distance to get to it, and therefore save a lot of money on shipping. I think that with Kickstarters especially, people who would be more likely to back it are really put off by shipping costs. For instance, a game that I did a paid preview for this week called Wolf and Hound, which is a cute looking little game that based purely off of the art style, a lot of people are going to be interested in it. The shipping cost for that game, the game itself is I think $24. The shipping cost for it is $18. And in fact, maybe I have those numbers flipped. Okay, it might be that the shipping is more expensive than the cost of the game, and maybe it's not a huge amount of money. But when people see that, something in their brains clicks like that's ridiculous, and I don't blame them. So a lot of Kickstarter campaigns have that problem with international shipping. And yeah, if that could be figured out, a lot of people would be doing a lot better. When is the next top 10 list coming, and what is it? That's an interesting question. I was wondering if I should try and put one out this weekend. I feel badly that I started the idea of the optional variant series, and I abandoned it just because of time. Every time I think I want to do another episode of that, and you guys all know, I started a series that had nothing to do with board games called Optional Variants.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Clearly marked as that. My first video and only video of it was top 10 anime series.
And it was awesome.
No, it was one of my least viewed videos, but I still had fun doing it. And I put a lot of work into it because I had to get clips of anime. I had to splice them into the show. More work than I've ever done for a video, and with very little payoff, but I still enjoyed it. And it's one of the best edited videos I've ever done. So I want to do another iteration of that. I've wanted to do a review of Hannibal for some time, but I think if I was going to do another top 10 list in that series, it would be top 10 American cartoons, which I think would be pretty interesting.
Animaniacs is the top of the list.
That might be a contender.
What if it was a gaming top 10? What would you do?
Oh, I'm sorry. You coaxing. I'm sorry. It was like you gave me the hand motion. Like, come on, Nick. All right, already. If it was a gaming related one, I think that theme park one is actually not a terrible idea. But I do need to do the new version of the top 10 co-ops. I've been wanting to do some of the general ones, like top 10 party games, for a while now. I think that would be an interesting one to do. And a lot of I don't want to flood my channel with top 10 lists now because the top 100 list is coming soon, which is going to be 10 top 10 lists. So, followed in December by my top 10 of the year. So there will be top 10 lists coming. You just have to wait. By the way,
10 most fiddly rule books.
top 10 worst rule books. I try to avoid doing top 10 worst somethings because that's like...
I didn't say worst, I said fiddly. It's up to you to determine
Top
if
I
that's
don't
good.
think it'd be very interesting.
Top 10 lists. Like the best top 10 lists. The top 10 lists.
Well, I
time.
have ideas for my April Fool's top 10.
Oh, really?
This past year, my April Fool's top 10 was top 10 Cards Against Humanity cards.
Mm.
Not necessarily to be hilarious about it. Like I don't think it's a very witty idea, but just to like, it's funny just to rattle off some really obnoxious cards on my channel. But I don't know. I don't want to spoil it, but yeah, I have some stupid ideas along those lines. Top 10s. I should just do like top 10 Dice Tower top 10 videos.
Top
right.
10 best art in games.
No, I thought about that too. That one's tough because I have to just flood the whole video with still frame pictures.
Top 10 best miniatures in games.
Okay.
Alright, I'll stop.
Let's see, where am I? Favorite Dice Masters card and character. That's a good one. Oh, I'm thinking of every single Dice Masters character. I really enjoy... I think the Dice Masters D&D was my favorite set and all the leveling up characters. I like the promo character. I can't remember his name right now. It's a dude with the little pet on his shoulder, but he's got some really great abilities. He's the only character that's unique. You can only have one of his dice in play ever, and he levels up like all the other characters, so I thought it was pretty cool. What do you think the chances are of seeing Legendary DC? I really like Legendary, but the Marvel characters are really boring. Well, I don't know. Are DC characters that much more exciting?
The villains are.
The villains are better. Except for Thanos. Thanos is my favorite villain of all time of any comic.
Really?
Yeah, I love him. I mean, I really love him. Like, he and I... Never mind. But...
So like your death now? Is that what's going on?
No, look, I just think, like, he does what DC wanted Darkseid to do better.
Sure.
Like, Darkseid and Mongol are what Thanos is supposed to be, but
Right.
I think Thanos is much more interesting and nuanced because of the whole death thing. But also, like, sometimes he'll just be a good guy. Not like a really good guy, but he'll just be like, alright, I really don't want the universe to get blown up.
The
so
Marvel
let's...
comic universe, or the cosmic, there we go, Marvel Cosmic Universe, is pretty wacky. There's some, like, really just insane wacky stuff.
Yeah, that's true. Like, they just run into gods all the time, like Eternity and Destiny and all that crap. But, I don't know. Look, I'm totally down for DC Legendary, although they're still putting out Legendary Marvel stuff, and it's amazing. I love the new sets that they've had, like the Secret War sets. But, although the new Secret War set, they're really going to the bottom of the barrel for Marvel. Like, Devil Dinosaur.
Oh.
And plus, since it's Secret Wars, they're going to have, like, all the alternate characters, like Spider-Gwen. Will be, which is cool, but I don't know. I still want to see Sentinels of the Multiverse get rid of those generic characters and actually get rethemed into one of those two universes. That's what I'd like to see before another Legendary set. Besides, you're going to have more. You're going to spend all of your time on Legendary Firefly and Legendary Big Trouble in Little China, which are the next two sets. And you laugh,
Wait.
but
No,
those are
I'm
legitimately coming out
I am
next year.
You're serious.
I am dead serious. And by the way, they are rebooting Big Trouble in Little China, which I forced Robin to watch that when we were dating.
It's fantastic.
Her Facebook post afterwards was, that movie was ridiculous.
Well, yes, but that's part of its charm.
Yes. They are rebooting that movie with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. That is not what they are basing the Legendary set on. They're basing it on the old set, which I heartily approve of.
I don't know, because I love Dwayne Johnson, man. Like, he is so charismatic. He really is. Ballers, I should not like that show, and yet I do because of him. Like, he's just so. Oh my god.
He's in Boca Raton all the time.
Is he really?
Yeah.
They filmed that show in the area.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Let's see. Nick, have you played Voyages of Marco Polo much? The special powers are awesome, but still seem unbalanced. Yeah, I after I did my review, I played that a couple more times. I think it's a fantastic game. I think it's my type of Euro, quote unquote. And it's a dice placement game, which I've had trouble with in the past. Like, I don't like Alien Frontiers. I might be one of the few people on the planet who's into board games that doesn't like Alien Frontiers. I just think this game works much better for me. Yes, the powers are way unbalanced. Part of that is the charm of the game, because you're supposed to have a power that is way unique than any of the other people, but some of them are clearly better than others. The guy who gets a resource every time someone goes to market is amazing no matter what your player count is. Whereas the guy that just gets 2 extra dice, that's good, but not compared to that guy. So you can just not play with that guy, but I still think the game is fun no matter what. And I think that a good player, regardless of that advantage, will still crush another player that's not as good.
Next.
What? You're rushing me?
Yes.
Why?
Because go to the next one.
If you weren't a muggle, do you think your Patronus would be a beagle? I see yours as a polar bear. I don't know what on earth I'd be associated with a polar bear for.
This person is saying that's it envisions you as a Russian bear.
Yeah,
and like
that's fair.
Big and warm and furry and the like.
Well, I am a furry. That's what I do on my weekends. That's true. I do. The cost of getting that out of my fur is just never mind. I am not going to dignify that question with a response to make Robin angry. No. I will answer that question in a better way. If I was an exalted character, my anima banner would be a giant beagle. Look it up, nerds.
No, they're saying if it wasn't a beagle, what would it be?
No, it says if I weren't a muggle, would my Patronus be a beagle? Sure.
That's
No.
a pretty strong
No, it would
there.
still be a giant... You're right, it'd be a polar bear. It is making the assumption that I would be a good guy.
It's making the assumption that you're a muggle at all.
That's true. Clearly, you are all muggles and I am something else. Have you tried Sentinel Tactics and your thoughts? I did. I thought it was okay. We played that during the 24-hour marathon, and I was like, I just wasn't that... I watched my review. I gave it an okay review because I think it works. There's a lot of people that do enjoy it. I just thought, like, there's no reason I'd play this over any other miniatures tactical game. Have you heard of the Justice League strategy game by WizKids? I have. I always threaten to get it when I get my store credit from my sponsor because he has it sitting there and I'm like, maybe I'll get it this time. I don't know. It seems interesting. The Justice League strategy game is one versus all. One player is Darkseid, who's like throwing down portals and bringing out the forces of apocalypse all over the city. And the other players are the superheroes of the Justice League, like the new 52, like Cyborg and Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman, working together to stop him. So it's like kind of like Pandemic with DC heroes and stuff. Okay. It's an interesting concept. It does have some good reviews, but no one's really talking about it. I'm not in a rush to review it.
Does it have Aquaman?
I think it doesn't, actually. Which, yeah.
Look, he got it as a gift from his girlfriend. That's sweet. That
is sweet. And I don't think that's a bad gift to get, actually. I will try it one day. Is there any type of game DC themed you would be interested in, Nick? Like I said, the Sentinels of the Multiverse rethemed to DC or Marvel would be kind of great.
Would she prefer Marvel or DC?
I might have to say DC. I think that there are I think overall the DC universe is a little too corny, but there are individual heroes and characters, like Ian said, the villains from DC, that are way more interesting and nuanced than a lot of the Marvel people. That's my thought.
Part 2, would you say Thor was more appealing in Thor 1 or Thor 2?
I didn't think that either of the Thor movies were that fantastic.
That's not what I asked.
Well, that's what I'm answering. I thought that Thor was actually kind of annoying because he really let Loki hose him in the second one. So, yeah.
Fair enough.
We're probably going to end very soon, but I noticed a Warcraft game appearing on your shelf. Someone just asked this, actually. So watch it be in the video. Are you doing anything to celebrate Future Day, 10/21/2015, the day Marty McFly arrives in the future in Back to the Future 2? Is it really that day? Really? Or is it just the meme that says, hey, guess what day it is? Do you know what that meme is? There's a website that posts a picture every single day of the DeLorean's display with that date, like so that you can just keep posting it over and over again.
I think it actually is October 21st.
It's probably right.
October 21st, 2015.
It is, and they're showing Back to the Future on some movie theaters around here. All three.
I haven't seen it in a very long time. I wouldn't mind seeing the entire trilogy again in a theater. That'd be kind of cool.
Everyone is super, like, I want auto-lacing Reeboks, and I want hoverboards and everything. Like, those are good things, I agree, but the dehydrated pizza, like, that... There's all kinds of people that are starving all over the world, and logistically, it's very difficult to get them food. If we had that dehydration technology, man, like, that's solving world problems, man.
You have to excuse Ian. He's not as informed as me. Did you not realize Bill O'Reilly said that there are no starving children? That's all made up.
Oh, I didn't. Well, gotta give it up for Papa Bear.
And now you know?
Okay, now I know.
In fact, really, there's no problems in the world.
So
got it. Good.
It's definitely not true that 38,000 children die of starvation every 24 hours.
This is getting real dark real fast.
Liberal media. Liberal media. Liberal agenda. I said some really nasty things about Republicans in my last Q&A and got a couple of people in the comments saying, I can't believe you made this into some partisan bullshit. Oh, here's specifically what it was, because it is funny. Someone asked me, Nick, what are you going to do when you become Speaker of the House? And I said, well, I'm going to take your questions seriously, and I'm going to act not as if, like, miraculously the Democrats have, gained a majority in the House. I'm going to make it seem like the Republicans nominated me to be their speaker. Well, so here's my agenda. First and foremost, women just no longer have reproductive rights whatsoever. Your organs actually belong to us, is what I said.
All your organs
and in fact, you are only there for our sexual gratification, not yours, because yours is irrelevant, just ours. And so on and so forth.
The female orgasm is a myth.
Exactly, or it will be. And some people did not take kindly to my satire. Not as thinly veiled as it could have been.
Okay. Not very thinly veiled
exactly.
at all.
Hey, Nick, what adventure deck building game do you recommend? Well, the only one that has that moniker right this second is the Pathfinder game, which is fun. Although that's one of the games that, while Pathfinder adventure card game maybe should be played with more players, at least as they designed it, it works best as a solo game because it's too long. It's a campaign game with tons of fiddly cards and things, but I love to play that one solo when I have time because I can have a couple of characters and just methodically go through it and have the experience of leveling up and a little bit of deck building and things like that. So I think it's a fun game, but it's not for everybody. The new one's going to be the Warhammer Quest adventure card game. That jury's out on that. I haven't played it yet.
What about Thunderstone Advance?
Well, that's a deck building game.
Isn't that what they
He asked for an adventure deck building game. Okay, well, I was interpreting that as the well, maybe he means that as theme. If he means that as theme, then as like fantasy adventure, then yeah. But Thunderstone, I always warn people, is very heavy and very long. It's one of the best made deck builders out there. It was my number one on my previous list of top 10 deck builders. This past year it was oh boy, I can't remember what I put for number one this year. I'm pretty sure I just made it legendary actually, because that's kind of what my favorite deck builder is at this point. No. It was Heart of Crown. That's right. Heart of Crown is my favorite deck builder as of right now.
Clearly, it's very much your favorite, seeing as how you couldn't think of it.
Well, there's like 5 that I constantly are just like flitting about. That's why I always tell people to take my top 10 list with a grain of salt, because it's 10 amazing games. At any given point, I could be like, oh, I feel like this one right now because I don't want to play something too heavy, or vice versa. Someone migrated over from the Kingdom Death video. Will you continue to play Kingdom Death Monster until game finish? Yeah, I do want to complete it, even if I have to play it solo and just run through it on my own. I want to see all the events. That's most of the fun of the game.
We had a tough day today.
We did. This was not easy.
I mean, I died.
She did die. Okay, now we're just... Kabuki Kid likes to come in here and just make comments and not questions, and then it just evolves into the people on the channel having a conversation with each other.
Which is great. I hope your Jello worked out.
Ian or Robin, will you burn or otherwise destroy Barbarosa? People do not like the fact that I still keep Barbarosa in my collection, despite the fact that I admit that it's not a great game.
Isn't that the movie where what's her face goes into space?
Barbarosa is a deck building game
I've seen you play it.
Yes.
I've seen it
That is themed as cute, scantily clad anime girls dressed up as, well, they know what it is. Dressed as Nazis. Not Nazis. German World War II soldiers. There's no Nazi symbolism. Just the Iron Cross.
Do you know how Hitler would tie his shoes as a child?
How?
He used little Nazis.
Oh, that's adorable. I like that joke. When is the three-way? Well, we'll discuss that afterwards. Nick, have you?
You're in the middle though. You're staying in the middle.
Oh God, no! I don't want to be I don't want to be the meat in the sandwich. Nick, have you ever read the Codenames rules? Was that a smart-ass comment? I've never read the 3-player rules before.
I am cake. That's a comment.
What are your friends' top 3 games off the top of their heads? Go.
I love I just said it a little while ago. Baldur's Gate, not Baldur's Gate, but the
Lords of Waterdeep.
Lords of Waterdeep is Lords of Waterdeep is super awesome. I really enjoy Agricola a lot.
Keyflower.
Keyflower is fine. It's not
Race for the Galaxy.
I like if just like I'm hanging out with I used to play that with my old roommate all the time. He was like, "Hey, you want to do some galaxy racing?" And that was a lot of fun.
What about you?
Sure.
Oh, okay. Can I guess? Yeah, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. I want to guess.
Guess.
Seasons.
Correct.
Imperial Settlers.
Correct. I like that one a lot.
Ascension.
Yes. I also really like Magic the Gathering. Even
Oh
though it's
yeah.
not a board
Okay,
game,
that was a
but I have to
layup actually.
Throw that in there, and then I've spent the most time playing that one.
Still proxies or own homemade decks.
Yeah. Go elf.
For fun. That is the sign of a true Magic fan, I will say.
But yeah, Seasons is probably my favorite. I also like Dominion, even though it's kind of an old.
Will Seasons be on?
Game.
Will Seasons be my number 1 game this year? Do you think?
Probably not. You play so many.
Interesting.
I don't know. I really enjoy
we will
it.
see. We will see. We will see as well. Nick, you like Eldritch Horror, but you already decided you don't like Fortune and Glory. Well, here's the deal. Even if Fortune and Glory is as good as Eldritch Horror, why would I all of a sudden say, "Oh, let me just throw this game in the garbage and start playing Fortune and Glory instead"? No, I like Eldritch Horror. I love the amount of content that's out for it. I like the theme. I'm not a Cthulhu nut like so many uber nerds seem to be these days, but I do like that theme better than generic Nazis. And by the way, it is a Flying Frog game, so all of the artwork in the game are photographs of the people that work for that company cosplaying. So that is the truth.
Which is the reverse Monopoly Cthulhu themed game?
That is the Doom that came to Atlantic City.
Yeah, that's a fun game. I mean, like, if you're gonna do a Cthulhu themed whatever, like that's a good one. It's actually like not terrible.
Sure. The thing with Eldritch Horror is they wanted to have a game that's based on Cthulhu that's not necessarily scary per se, but has the Indiana Jones globe-trotting type feel.
No, I mean that's so like there's a lot of stuff that you can do.
But you would probably like Cthulhu Wars, which is huge, sprawling territory control where you actually are the Elder Gods. And when I say that, I mean there are miniatures about yay big that you put on the board.
Hey.
Representing Cthulhu, Nyarlathotep, the Crawling Darkness, the actual gods that you move around, and then you have tiny little cultist figures that represent your troops that you move around with them. And you put out portals and gates.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that I think
like the idea of the game is that it's over.
Right.
Like humanity is dead, and
right.
now it's just the gods divvying up the world, which is interesting to a lot of people. And the game is okay. I think that where is it at? Chaos in the Old World did it first and did it better. Where you are the chaos gods of Warhammer fantasy, but a lot of people like Cthulhu Wars because the miniatures are amazing.
Well, that's fine. I also want to replace Race for the Galaxy with Builders.
Build for the God. Oh,
right.
Okay.
Because
really,
yeah, I think I enjoy Builder. I think I do enjoy Builder. They're both engine builders that I really appreciate. But I think it's Builders does race, like if you just want to, like, it's light, you don't have to think about it too much, you just get like, oh, it's and the other two are like super heavy.
Hey, baby.
So
okay. Well, I will bring the New Builders tomorrow. I may not have the chance to get to it, but you can certainly play it without me.
well, it's here, isn't it?
It is here.
Well, then yeah, I'm glad you'll bring it.
Oh, that's right. I keep thinking we're going to the
Right.
the studio tomorrow. We'll be here. Okay. Hell yeah, Alliance for Lordaeron.
Woo!
Their Alliance is boring.
Ooh, Nick, thoughts on Gamelin Games?
You
Tiny
gotta get a
Epic.
cow.
I
Get a
think
cow for the horde.
Gamelin Epic, Gamelin Games is very lucky. They have made a tremendous amount of money on Kickstarter, making very tiny, literally, that's the name of their games, tiny epic games that are cheap to produce, and people seem to be gobbling them up. My concern with them is actually the same concern I have with Tasty Minstrel and a few other games, is that game companies. The tiny epic games are very popular. People get really obsessed with them. People back them in droves because they're incredibly cheap. You see a ton of copies go out to people. When it starts getting into people's hands, the reviews are very lukewarm. I mean, just really mediocre. Barely moves the radar of the rankings of Board Game Geek. And then up until recently, I took part in a lot of math trades, and I would see tons of copies of these games flood into the marketplace for math trades, which is a sign to me that a lot of people are not retaining these games once they back them. So I think that companies like that end up being like paper tigers, where it seems like they're doing amazingly well and that they have a lot of strength as a company, but they're not backing that up with a lot of anything, and I worry about long-term prospects based on that. If they put out a really heavy game that's amazing, I will think differently.
Hey, this was like 10 topics ago, but filler games. I forgot about Red 7.
That's a good game.
I really like that filler game.
Yeah, I remember when we played that.
Yeah,
Red 7 is a solid game from Carl Chuddik, the designer of Glory to Rome.
I have kept it in my purse. On multiple
Oh, that's right. You have your own
occasions.
copy of it. Yeah.
I thought you were. Oh, that's right. You have your own purse.
That's right. You don't have to borrow my purse anymore. I forgot. Oh yeah, we're so far behind. It's ridiculous. I mean,
You're ridiculous.
And we've already gone over an hour, so we'll probably pack it up.
Wait, well, let's just look over.
Let's just pick the one we like and tell everyone else to screw off.
That's right.
Oh, wow. Guys, I really am grateful. I mean, 33 people watching at 1:12 is actually pretty good. I usually have about 50, and that's at like 8 o'clock, so... Let's see, where do we leave off then?
On the left.
Oh, someone did ask on the other part of the question I asked earlier was, what was your most hated games? What's the game that you hate the most?
Go to Ian. I'll
Okay.
I don't play games that I don't really like.
But you had to have been suckered into one at some point thinking it might have been good, and I'm like, oh my god, this is the worst thing I've ever had to endure. Worse than when I was in that tiger cage.
I wasn't too thrilled with that word like categories game. So like, what's the name of the thing in space that starts with the letter whatever? We played it.
Oh, Tapple?
Yeah, I was not thrilled with that. But
yeah, but that was like, but, and I'm not arguing you out of your point, but that's such like a nothing game.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I don't play games that I was like, oh, that's not gonna. I don't care. Nah. Even when I play deck builders with you, I'm like, okay, well, I could get into this. Like, I'm just like probably not going to. But that Tapple is just like, this is a waste of time. This is for a child.
I kind of had that feeling too. I did buy my own copy of it because just like JT, we both saw it on sale.
Right.
But now I'm wondering if I should even open mine.
Drunk Tapple, I'd be down for.
Yeah.
Right.
But then it's more of an activity than a game.
Right.
It's the point.
And you have
like Cards Against Humanity.
And you have to play it on God mode, where you, or not God mode, Nightmare mode. You have to play it on Nightmare mode. Kind of the same thing. No.
No, God mode is, there's the God cheat code where you just get to look at the answers.
Right. But yeah, play it on Nightmare mode, where you have to pick the letter that is closest to you. Or the letters that are closest to you.
Yeah, that's right.
That's how you play it on Nightmare mode.
The funnest part of Tapple was arguing with you.
Right. Omnivores. Like, how are you going to have omnivores at a party?
Our point in Tapple was, okay, you're going to name that, why don't we just name everything? Okay.
Well, yeah.
Go ahead, Robin.
I really didn't like Arkham Horror. I really, really, really did not like
Right. Before we was really like into games, Robin picked up Arkham Horror for me for Christmas or birthday. One of those two. and none of us liked it.
Among a number of other games.
None of us liked it. On a subsequent play, I enjoyed it more because it was too much for people like us. People like us at the time being people who hadn't really played games heavier than Ascension or Magic.
I still don't think I'd like it. I also,
no, that's fair. I'm just saying, like, I appreciated it a little bit more when I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. This is not going to be an easy time. This game is kind of work. There's a lot of games that are work to get into, but the payoff of fun is good. Arkham Horror is not that for some people. So
I know that I've walked out of some space games that were just incredibly. It wasn't Zia.
Space games. But Zia did almost make you flip the table over.
A little bit.
Much like with for people who are into the Dice Tower, Z Garcia Jr. had the exact same situation as you. We played Zia during the 18-hour gaming marathon, and Tom and I were like, yeah, we're going to play Zia! This is going to be so much fun! And Z and Sam were like, okay, this might be okay. And then Z flew into the sun, like on his first turn. And we're like, well, you should have scouted ahead. and I ended up creaming them. And I ended up destroying them in that game, and then we played Arcadia Quest, which they also hated, which I also destroyed them in quickly. And Tom and I were like, we don't understand. Why don't you like these games?
So I don't know what else.
I love Zia. It's so good.
It's very pretty.
Zia is a sandbox game. You can do whatever you want in that game. Your spaceships, and you build your ship, you get new ships, you upgrade them, then you're like, I want to be a pirate. Okay, go shoot the other players. That gets you points. You're like, I want to be an explorer. Okay, go explore planets. You get points for doing that. You're like, I want to be a merchant. I want to do pick up and deliver. Okay, sell your goods. You get points for doing that. You get points for upgrading your ship. You can say, I just want to be a shipmonger and have the best ship in the fleet, and I can get points doing that.
What's the end game condition?
A certain threshold of points, which you decide ahead of time. So, like, okay, we're just going to play to 15 points.
Okay.
Because it'll tell you, like, if you play this many points, it's probably going to take you this many hours to play.
Okay.
So you decide ahead of time.
Huh.
So it's just a sandbox game. You can do whatever you want.
I thought of something.
Yes.
The hidden roll game.
Oh, God, you hate those.
Yes. The hidden roll game.
So does he.
Which is kind of like sci-fi.
The Resistance?
Yes. Can't stand it.
You guys are killing me here.
I will play Resistance. I enjoy well, I don't necessarily know that I enjoy Resistance, but like,
does anyone really enjoy Resistance? It's very stressful. I like the stress though. So.
Yeah, you're a crazy person. But yeah, the Skyfall I don't particularly care for either. But like, I understand that it's a fun game.
Have you played Skyfall? I don't think you've been here since.
I don't know, but I recall a time when we were playing Resistance, and you really said. You were trying to convince me.
Oh, right.
That you were on my team, and you said, like, Robin, like, I've known you for years.
Which should have been your first.
Do you really think I'd lie to you? And I'm like, all right.
She'd been drinking. Otherwise, she would have said, oh, no, I don't trust you at all, you bastard. I do know you, and I don't trust you, is what she should have said. But yes, I lied. And you're not the first person, you won't be the last for me to do that, too. By the way.
I believe it.
That has happened to me. Kim, Robbie's wife, people who have actually both been on videos before and are no longer living in the area, got me good in a game of, was it the Resistance? Oh, it was the Resistance. She had me snookered the whole game.
Snookered.
Completely. I was like, all right, I trust her. Like, right at the beginning, I'm like, oh shit, she's on my team. I don't have to worry about her. Let's focus on the other people. She's a spy. Fuck. So I have been on the receiving end of that, but I love that shit. I do. It's so frustrating at the time, but for instance, and this is a completely different game, but we played Shakespeare.
Yeah.
I was so mad that I came in third place by 1 point.
Right.
All three of us, there was three of us playing, we were all within 1 point of each other. It was 1, 2, 3. I came in third. I was so mad, and I was like, let's play it again right now. Like,
I would have done it.
There is a point of time.
If Cherokee didn't have to go, I probably would have done it.
Right. There is a point of time where I'm like, some games where I just get totally hosed, like in Heroes. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I can't stay in this game. And it was because I felt like whether I had won or lost, if I had won, it would have been like, well, I didn't win for any other reason than I rolled better. But in Shakespeare, I knew why I lost. I knew exactly. I could pinpoint the time and where, and I'm like, let's do it again. I'm going to fuck you guys over. So
By the way,
there's a level of stress. We are doing a Q&A. But there's a level of stress I appreciate in games, is what I'm trying to say.
You came in last place after having more experience than either one of the other two of us.
That is true.
So, fuck your couch.
Well, to be fair, though, the more experience was 3 rounds of a game that I was taught improperly to me. I was actually at a disadvantage because I knew how to play the game teaching you to.
I'm going to call shenanigans, but what do you got over there?
Is it wrong to invest a lot into a
No.
game before you even get to play it? If you mean like, oh, I think this game is probably amazing, let me buy every expansion for it, that's not... Well, okay, it's not wrong. It's just not very wise. There's nothing wrong with it if you want to do that. And if you're a collector of board games, go and have at it. Now,
thankfully, there are wonderful channels like Nick's that will help you, give you a nice preview of what you're getting into.
True. Although I always say every single reviewer that you ever watch should be an arrow in your quiver, or whatever metaphor you want to use. Because, and this is one of the funny things, on the Dice Towers Board Game Breakfast, I usually just do the Kickstarter update, but he started a new segment called the Weekend Review, where he and the other people on his channel will do a quick summation of the games they reviewed in the past week with a numbered rating like Board Game Geek does. And he said, he asked me and Joel Eady, who is another reviewer who is neck and neck with me for subscribers, he has his own channel, he asked us, hey, do you guys want to do it on Board Game Breakfast as well? No harm, no foul. You guys will get more reviews for your reviews, and you'll help us out. I'm like, no problem. So the two of us are often one after the other in the Weekend Review segment. And sometimes we are at opposite ends of the same game. Like I did, I gave the new version of the Versus game a 4. And I was like really trashed it. Like, this game is like so mediocre. I don't know why this game was reprinted. And then Joel Eady's segment came up and he was like, oh, and check out my channel this week where I'll be doing live plays and run-throughs of Versus. I really love this game. So it's interesting to see that. And so my point being that watch as much stuff as you can. If you're really on the fence about a game, if it's a very expensive game, if it's Love Letter and you're not sure if you like it, just buy it. Who cares? It's $10. But if it is Cthulhu Wars, watch 30 reviews before you decide that you're going to spend $300 on it. That's why people ask me, Nick, is Kingdom Death Monster worth the money? It was worth the money for me because I spent $100 for the base game, and now the same game, minus all of the free Kickstarter stuff I was given, is going for $300. And when it hits retail, it will be $400. So I am very, very hesitant to say, yeah, this game is really great, you should pick it up, because that is an amount of money that is obscene. What I would recommend is go back in time and spend $100 for it like I did. But you can't do that.
There's a lot of there's a lot of detail, there's a lot of, and it's just a matter of how much you value all that stuff. The miniatures and all the other stuff.
Right. And I feel like, and I always feel like broken record like this, because when I talk about Kingdom Death, when I talked about Cthulhu Wars, when I did a review of that, my review of Cthulhu Wars was actually good, and I got nothing but shit from its fans because I mentioned this game is probably not going to be worth it for the amount of game in it for $300.
Sure. And
people were like, well, you don't understand. It's a luxury boutique item, and it's just not right for some people. And that is the point, though. And there is some truth in that, even though those people said it in a very shitty way. A game is worth it if you think it's worth it. If you're willing to spend the amount of money on it and you get an amount of enjoyment out of it that is okay with you, whatever your rationale and standard might be, that's a wise purchase. It doesn't matter if you just spent $1 million on a game that other people think is worth $2. If your amount of joy that you got out of that is commensurate with that, boom, that's a wise purchase. Which is a very large and abstract way of saying that, but it's the truth. And there are people who will pimp out a game, make it amazing, buy every expansion for it, give it awesome pieces, because it is just that much fun for them, whereas other people are like, huh? Really? That game? But that's, you can't judge that. People are always going to have a different metric that they're basing their enjoyment of games on. So if you have the disposable income, maybe Kingdom Death or whatever these games are a wise choice for you. And if you collect games, back to the question, maybe it is worth it for you to just buy the game and every single expansion right off the bat. But even I don't do that anymore. If I haven't played a game first, unless I'm getting them for free from the publisher, I get the game, see if I like it, decide if I want to go for the expansions. Because you never know. just because 1 or 5 or 10 or 15 reviewers say that it's a good game doesn't mean it's right for you. I have learned that the hard way. Again, I think I'm the only person that doesn't like Alien Frontiers. So there is that. Okay, it's late. I think we should probably go ahead and pack it up because there will be other Q&As. I've made them weekly now, so you will always get a chance to answer your question. I'm sorry for everyone whose question I didn't get to, especially since I'm very shocked at how many people are watching at this time of night. But save your question. Bring it back next week. We'll hit it again. Next week it's going to be one of the daytime Q&As, probably Saturday afternoon. And we will have a good time, hopefully. So, Robin?
Bye, Internet. It was fun.
Ian?
Later.
Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much to all of you for joining us. And take care. Sleep tight. Get some sleep, you maniacs.